Hello everyone, this is my first YouTube video and hello everyone, this is my first YouTube video. My name is Tony Saad. Hello everyone, this is my first YouTube video.
24 hours later.
Hey guys, my name is Tony Saad and this is my first ever YouTube video, and I'm going to be talking about something that's super important for pre-med students such as myself, and that is the MCAT. As you all know, the MCAT is an exam that you need to take in order to get into medical school. And it's a difficult exam, and I know how difficult the process is. And what I want to do is just make the process easier for you by telling you all the mistakes I made and all the good things that I did. Just a disclaimer, this isn't one of those, oh, I got a 528 on my MCAT, I'm amazing, do exactly what I did kind of videos. Don't get me wrong, those videos are super helpful, but I made mistakes and I also did things correctly throughout my studying process, and I want to tell you everything so that you can pretty much get a better score than I did. I personally got in the 93rd percentile on my exam, and I'm very happy with that score. But had I done things differently, I could have done even better. So let's get started. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the exam, the MCAT runs from a 472 to a 528. That's how the scoring works. And a 501 is about the 50th percentile, right? And each section, there are 4 sections. There's the Psych Soc section, the Biochem section, the Chem Phys section, and then the Cars section, which is just reading comprehension. Each section is scored from a 118 to a 132. Tip number 1, schedules. I highly recommend you make a schedule for your entire MCAT game plan and studying, right? So for me, I was planning on taking my exam January of 2020, and I started studying August of 2019. The first mistake that I made was starting August of 2019. I would recommend that you start even earlier, okay? Why? Because of the fact that the first couple weeks of studying, it's kind of, you're still getting used to it, and so you're not going to be putting in that full effort. So if you allow those first buffer weeks to be a little bit earlier, it's going to help you throughout the process in general. So the thing that you start with first is content review. But wait, before you start content review, I recommend that you take a diagnostic half-length exam, which I took. You can find it free online. Search up the Next Step half-length exam. I think the company is now called Blueprint, so you could also search up Blueprint, right? And take that exam. That's not going to tell you, oh, like what you know and what you don't know. To be honest with you, you're not going to do that well in that half length, right? The point of it is to understand what you're studying for, because the MCAT is a crazy, weird exam, and you want to know exactly what you're getting yourself into. You need to know what the exam looks like before you start studying. Then you start content review. I use the Kaplan books for my content review. I highly recommend that you use the Kaplan books. The Kaplan books are super resourceful because they have a lot of information, and I would take notes as you're reading. So I started off by just writing out notes, but then I eventually saw that that was taking too much time and I wasn't getting through enough content in time. So I started typing because I'm a quicker typer. But really, I didn't even refer back to my notes that much. The whole point of it was simply just so that I could see that I'm actively learning the information that I'm reading. Also, don't rush content, right? I recommend that you don't do more than 2 chapters of the Kaplan books every single day, because those chapters, like, you should spend maybe like 2 to 3 hours or even more on just one chapter, right? Because you really want to get that information. And if you're not really grasping the information throughout it, don't worry too much about that. I get that. I get the feeling where you're not really grasping the information. That's okay. That's normal, okay? So by the time that you're done with content review, I'm going to tell you about a different resource that you should be using to solidify the content that you gained from Kaplan books. Before I leave content review, because this is probably one of the most important steps, I want to mention what I use from the Kaplan books. I use the bio book, the chemistry book, the biochem book, and the physics book with a different resource. So physics, I'm going to get back to. But if you noticed, I did not use the Orgo book, the Cars or Reading Comprehension book, and I didn't use the Psych Soc. So, or Behavioral Sciences, whatever it's called. So the reason that I didn't use those, number one, for cars, I don't think it's helpful to read a book about how to read. So I don't think that it's really going to help you that much. I think that with cars, the way that you practice cars is like a muscle. That's what my cousin always told me. Cars is like a muscle. The way that you practice it is by doing practice, right? Or the way you get better at it is by doing practice, right? So the best resource for that, I'll put it in the description below, is Jack Westin. Jack Westin is a website that posts cars passages every single day, and you can access all the old previous passages. So I recommend that you try to do, 2 passages a day just to practice it. And I'm going to make a future video on how to get better at cars in the future, right? Okay. Now, Psych Soc. I told you don't use the Kaplan book for Psych Soc. I recommend that you use the 300-page Khan Academy Behavioral Sciences Review, which you can get from Reddit, and I'm going to put the description below. Someone basically took a transcript of all the Khan Academy MCAT videos on Psych and Soc and made a beautiful 300-page PDF. I printed out that PDF, and then I went to Staples and spiralized it and basically made myself a textbook. This is my Khan Academy textbook. I took notes in it, and when it comes to Psych Soc, I don't know if you can see my notes. When it comes to Psych Soc, I highly recommend that you don't just read this and that's it. I highly recommend that you watch the Khan Academy videos on Psych Soc with the textbook that you just made with the PDF, right? And basically what that does is it solidifies the information, and it's a really great process like that. I made a super cool resource, and I think it's going to be super helpful with your studying, which basically takes the Kaplan books and the 300-page Khan Academy study guide, and it splits them up by chapter, and then it links all the different Khan Academy videos or section of videos with those chapters, right? So it's a Google Sheet, and I'll share it in the description. And I spent a lot of time making it, so I hope it's going to be helpful. I know it was very helpful for me. It was one of the best things that I actually did. I'm super happy that I invested the time to do that, because what that does is it allows you to be able to see what exactly, like if you're not understanding something from the textbook, you can go to the video and watch it. And it literally, it has every single topic from the textbook. It covers it in those Khan Academy videos. So as you can see, I'm talking about Khan Academy a lot. Khan Academy is literally the best resource that you have. It's free and it covers everything, and it's sponsored by AAMC itself. Okay, for physics, I said that there's a caveat to it. Read the physics Kaplan book, but also watch the Khan Academy videos with it. Why? Because I don't think that reading about math is that helpful. I think you need to be able to see the problems as you're reading, and really they match perfectly in that Google Sheet that I made. The videos are literally just exactly what the textbook has, so it's perfect. And the final thing that I said don't use was the Orgo book. That's actually more up to you. That was a personal choice, just because I was taking Organic Chemistry 2 right before I was taking my MCAT that semester, and I found that it wasn't going to be necessary for me to read the textbook because I already had that in my mind, and I'm pretty confident in my abilities with organic chemistry in general, so I didn't find the need to read the textbook. But by all means, if you think the Kaplan book will help you, use it. After content review, by October 21st, I took my first exam besides the diagnostic. And guess what? I didn't do that well. I didn't do well at all. I went from a 494 on my diagnostic to a 498 on October 21st. And that was really scary for me because of the fact that, my exam was 2.5 months away, and I really wasn't where I wanted to be score-wise, right? So the reason I tell you guys this, and I'm sharing these practice exam scores, is because if you're going through the process, I want you guys to know that it's going to be okay. You're going to be able to do it. So mistake number 2 that I made was comparing myself. So a lot of my friends who were also taking the MCAT during that time, I was comparing myself to how they were doing in terms of practice exams. And like some of them had already taken like 3 practice exams. They were taking a practice exam every single week, and they were doing so much better than me. And I was getting so super nervous. So don't compare yourself, because it's not going to help you. Once I realized that, hey, I don't have to take an exam every single week just for the sake of taking exams, that's when I started to do better. So the most important thing about MCAT studying is how you use the exams. In fact, I have this motto where I basically say that taking a practice exam for the MCAT is like 8 hours of a waste of time just to find out what you need to work on. And obviously, it's not simply just a waste of time, but the reason I say something so harsh like that is because I'm trying to get the point across that it's not about how many exams you take. It's about how you review it, and the improvement is not actually happening while you're taking the exam. The improvement is happening after and between the exams that you take, right? So I'm going to make a video in the future if you guys, I definitely think I should make this on how I reviewed exams, because I think that was the key to any success that I had, which basically showed on my next exam. So I spent 3 weeks reviewing my exam thoroughly, right? And keep in mind that I also was taking a very difficult semester. I was taking organic chemistry 2 with biochem, and those were infamously hard at the school that I go to, which is Rutgers, New Brunswick. And so I needed to give myself a little bit more time for studying. So I refused to take the next exam until I felt like I really squeezed out, like gleaned all the information from the old practice exam that I had taken. So yeah, I talk about practice exams of like, imagine like you have like a wet t-shirt and you're just squeezing out all the water from it. That's what you need to do with practice exams. So I spent 3 weeks going over my information. And by that point, the next time I took my exam, which I think was November 14th, I had a 7-point increase, or sorry, a 9-point increase. And that's like, that went from a 498 to a 507. That's a 9-point increase. And that was amazing to me. I was very happy with that. And really, that's what gave me that kind of hope. So I highly recommend that you don't just care about simply how many exams you take, but the quality of your reviewing. Just so you know, I only used 9 exams total, 9 practice exams, which I know people who go like, oh, I did like 20 exams. It doesn't matter how many exams you take, right? So I only took 2 Kaplan, 2 Next Step, and the 5 double AMC, right? And obviously you should take everything from double AMC. Besides exams, the other resource that I used was UWorld. I highly recommend UWorld. UWorld is basically a question bank of, a lot of questions on the MCAT that just covers a range of topics. It's definitely worth the investment, not simply just because of the actual questions, but it's super important to put when you use UWorld, use it on tutor mode. And tutor mode is basically, it's giving you these really amazing explanations covering a bunch of content that you're lacking on the question, to the point that I used tutor mode to the point that like I didn't even care what I got on the questions, if I was getting them right or wrong. I just wanted to read the explanation. So don't time yourself with UWorld, just use tutor mode and really soak in all that information. Besides UWorld, the other thing that I recommend is Anki. Anki is a flashcard program that literally saved my life with Psych. So after reading the book for Psych and watching all the Khan Academy videos, literally all of them, I felt like the information was just leaving my mind. So there's this super amazing flashcard deck that was made by a 132 scorer that I used, and it's like 960 flashcards. And Anki is free and the deck is free, and I'll put it in the description below. And basically you download the deck and you use Anki, and it has an algorithm to basically make sure that over time you pick up the information quickly, right? And you're able to actually memorize all of the information. And the flashcards literally solidified everything for Psych. I didn't use Anki for the other subjects, but that was just my preference. I didn't think it was going to be helpful, but if you think that's going to be helpful for you, definitely use it. The last month of MCAT studying is the most important month, and this is why I recommend taking your exam in January for traditional college students. The reason is you have 2 times where you're free: summer and winter break. That's it. So yeah, I sacrificed my entire winter break and I didn't spend it with my friends, and I had major FOMO, or fear of missing out if you don't know what that means. And that kind of sucked, but it was definitely worth it. In fact, something that I highly recommend that you do when you really get deep into the studying process is make a post-it note. And I made a post-it note and I put it on my laptop. And basically every time that I was studying, I would look at that post-it note, and the post-it note had all of my goals and all of the things that I wanted to achieve. And it just reminded me why I was studying. Why was I doing the things that I was doing? And I highly recommend that you use that as motivation as you're going on, because you're going to need that motivation. Remember, you're going to be a doctor at the end. It's worth it. It's worth it. So that last month of studying, you use only double AMC material, and obviously make a schedule during that last month. And the thing that I really want to emphasize, and I want to make another video about this, is the section bank. It is the most important resource that you're going to use from double AMC. Basically what it is it's double AMC style questions on steroids. It's like 10 times harder. So don't worry if you're not doing that well using the section bank. That's fine. Don't time yourself while you're doing the section bank. All that I want you to do is simply do the questions very slowly and try to understand why you got them wrong if you got them wrong. And I'll go in depth. I don't want to talk about it too much. I know I'm eager to talk about it, but I don't want to talk about it too much. But I'll make another video talking about how to study with the section bank. But that pretty much helped me ace my sciences. And I think I covered really everything. The last thing that I'll say is don't give up. I know it's a difficult process. If you're already in the process, I get it. And I want you to know that I can make future videos if you guys want on the details of the process that I did, because I literally documented everything in a notebook. And honestly, the one thing that I learned, and something that my dad told me throughout the entire process, was every single day you have a chance to improve. So don't give up. I had many opportunities where I was thinking about postponing my exam, but I just kept going because I was motivated. I felt good. And again, the reason that I recommend taking the January exam was simply because I had nothing else to do except for MCAT. I literally locked myself in the same cubicle for every single day from 8 in the morning to 11 p.m. at night. It started off at 7 p.m. and then it slowly progressed to 11 p.m. at night every single day except for Christmas. That was the only day that I actually saw people. And I know that sounds super stressful and depressing, but it really isn't, because you have nothing else to worry about. It was so difficult to study for the exam when I had school going on, but without the semester, I felt like I could really just focus on something that was very interesting. Really, you got to enjoy the process. I know it's going to be difficult, and there are days that you're definitely not going to enjoy it. But remember that, as a doctor, you're learning things that are going to help you in the future. Psych, Soch, that's real medicine. You're going to actually use that in the future when you go to medical school. So definitely enjoy the process. It's crazy long, but you're going to be a doctor, and that's amazing in and of itself. If you guys like this video, please share it with your friends who are also taking the MCAT. Let me know anything in the comment section. If there's anything that you want me to make a video on, anything that you want me to improve on, I'm open to criticism. This is my first ever YouTube video, so I need your help. And like and subscribe, because there are definitely future videos that I'm going to make, because I think that there's a lack of videos talking about the deep details of the MCAT studying process, and I want to give that to you guys because I understand how it feels to take this exam, and I know how difficult it is, and I want to help as much as I can. Thank you guys so much for listening, and good luck.